Ajakuta Seal 2023 delivery date not feasible, says Mines Minister. Developing 8 countries to launch preferential trade agreement. And 700 megawatt Zungero hydropower plant to be inaugurated in first quarter of 2023, says Minister of Power. Plus, oil prices fall as dollar climbs, but set for weekly gain on supply concerns. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Well, let's bring you up to speed with business development. The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, has restated commitment to leverage partnerships within the D8 to promote the activities of MSMEs at the national level. This is as well as within the D8 region to further strengthen economic trade and commercial integration and linkages. This is even as the agency plans to establish D8 Center on Small and Medium Enterprises in the country. Director General of SMEDEN, Wale Fasanya, stated this while receiving a delegation of the D8 countries in his office. He said the center, when operational, would engage in policy analysis, implementation, and capacity development of SMEs.
The idea is we want to see how we can establish a lot of market linkage for our MSMEs, because that's one of the gaps that most of our MSMEs, they have products, but they don't have the right market. So we want to open up markets for them, especially within the D8 countries.
We want to see how we can increase trade among all our member states, especially the small and micro enterprises. And like I mentioned yesterday at the forum, the preferential trade agreement of the D8 is about to be operationalized, and we want Nigerian SMEs to key into this very important instrument.
We are ready to share our experience on supporting SMEs in terms of institutional building, in terms of capacity building, in terms of support mechanisms for the SMEs.
Now, as a country with abundant natural and human resources, Nigeria has been identified as better positioned to embrace sustainable finance principles and attract investment for the continent's much-needed growth and development. This was stated by the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, during a lecture to mark the commemoration of IOS CEO World Investor Week with the theme Investor Resilience and Sustainable Finance, held Friday in Abuja. Yuguda, who was represented by SEC's Executive Commissioner Operations, Mr. Dayo Obisan, stated this. The themes for this year's WIW, Investor Resilience and Sustainable Finance, demonstrate the high value IOS CEO places on investor protection and the environment, especially in the context of the global pandemic and other challenges such as inflationary pressures, uncertainties occasioned by geopolitical tensions, and continued environmental degradation. The IOS CEO WIW is an annual event coordinated by IOS CEO, which encourages its members, securities regulators around the world, to commemorate in their respective jurisdiction for the purpose of promoting investor education and protection. Ajakuta Steel Company will not be functional under the present administration. Minister of Mines and Steel Development Olamilekan Adigbite stated this at a meeting in Abuja in preparations ahead of the Nigeria Mining Week coming up November. Meogidi reports.
Ajakuta Steel Company, Mines Ministry's flagship project, but for more than 40 years, the flag is not flying high at the site. If promises were to complete a project, Ajakuta Steel Company would have long become operational.
Within the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, before he leaves office in 2023, that we should achieve Ajakuta by the grace of God.
A confident minister there in July 2020.
While we remain standing, we take the national anthem.
August 2022, the minister's strong confidence in completing Ajakuta Steel Company again was redoubled with the inauguration of National Steel Council, flanked by the finance minister.
And now we're at the closing line, just to breast tape, and Ajakuta will emerge better and stronger without any encumbrance.
Now, the story of Ajakuta Steel Company can best be related to the famous Abiku poem by J.P. Clark.
There's something in Yoruba mythology they call Abiku, something that recalls.
October 27, 2022, the Minister of Mines and Steel Development Olamilekan Adigbite finally surrenders.
Sincerely, I will not sit down and lie to you that we'll complete Ajakuta before we leave office, but the process to making sure Ajakuta has a solid future has started.
It is obvious Ajakuta Steel Company a burden in waiting for the next administration. We will complete Ajakuta Steel Company, a big question that can only be answered by a big heart. Mie Okede.
Now, before the day's conversation on oil theft, Lydia Sampson gives us insight into happenings in the oil creeks.
Like a thorn in the flesh, crude oil bunkering and theft had continued to make the oil and gas sector bleed in Nigeria. From a little hemorrhage, it grew to become life-threatening. Determined to revive and resuscitate the sector responsible for a large chunk of the nation's economy and foreign exchange earning, the NNPC Limited commenced a life-changing collaboration with the communities and key security operatives, and now the narrative is changing for good. The manifestation of the success story all began when Group Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, revealed that the company has uncovered an illegal 4-kilometer pipeline from Forcados in Delta State to the sea and a loading port that has operated there in the last 9 years. Mele Kyari didn't stop at the revelation when he appeared before a joint Senate committee on upstream, downstream and gas. He was part of a high-powered delegation that defiled the rains to visit the site of a bridge, no doubt contributing to the over 22 years of crude oil theft in Nigeria.
The technology already been applied. We still now have visibility around many of the marine activities that are going on. We see visibility around most of our assets, and we're improving on this. Obviously, technology is part of this intervention.
There will be a thorough investigation, and everyone who is involved certainly will be brought to justice, and the law will take its course. Then, of course, right here at the terminal, the fact that it's been shut down for quite a while means that a lot of losses have come to the country. And so measures that have been taken now to restore, export will be heightened.
They all lamented the unprecedented rate it has assumed in recent times. Kyari revealed that 3 operational facilities of Forcados, Bonny and Brass Oil terminals have all been shut down as a result of the high rates of crude oil theft, leading to the loss of about 600,000 barrels per day. The joint operations and partnership with communities is already yielding immediate impact.
One of the contractors, Tantita Security Service, is the one that makes this apprehension, because the whole architecture is anchored around detection, deterrence, response, and recovery. I think there's no doubt that we have made significant success in terms of detection, in terms of deterrence, and in terms of response. What is now left is for Nigerians to start witnessing the recovery journey. And I think before the end of the month, you will see the benefit of all the architecture that has been put in place. We have anticipated that this architecture will start yielding results in 90 days, but what we are seeing is that we will start seeing in about 60 days.
With the community spearheading securing the waterways and the critical operations of crude oil, the thieves, they say, must realize they can no longer be at ease.
It's among the list of vessels being monitored constantly, and it's been evading authorities for quite a while now, and its route is very funny. It's been frequenting the Niger Delta and at the same time carrying crude illegally to Ghana, precisely Tema.
As the community leaders engage to keep watch over the waterways continue to navigate and patrol, they are optimistic that with the renewed sustainable efforts, the end of crude oil theft and bunkering may be sooner than anticipated. In Abuja, Lydia Sams.
Now, conversations on the quantity of crude stolen daily and how much is being lost in terms of revenue varies from one stakeholder to another, meaning we do not even know the exact quantity stolen, just as the thieves' methods are not fully understood. We hope this conversation will provide answers to the many unanswered questions. As we have joining me via Zoom, Captain Waridi and Maritime Intelligence, Aviation Satellite Systems Expert, Executive Director, Technical and Operations, Tantita Security Service Nigeria Limited. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, you are a marine security expert. You know the terrain. Just give us an insight. How does this illegal business happen?
There are actually, it's multi-pronged, but mainly two-pronged in the region. There is the local side of it, and there is also the international side of it. If we say that 100% of the crime from both local and international, we will apportion better part, maybe 15% to the local side and 85% to the international side. Now, 85% to the international side because what ships can carry is enormous compared to what the locals can carry in terms of trucks and little boats. So it is quite huge, and as you rightly said, the amount stolen varies quite a fair bit, but in our estimates, we're looking at nothing less than, as at today's current rate, probably $70 to $80 million a day. That is what is lost in terms of the international side.
Wow. So, just let me understand this. You mentioned the international side of it as in 85%, is it? You said that ship can carry, is it?
Ships can carry quite a fair bit, because of their size.
How do they come and how do they go on, I mean, a ship is big. I mean, everybody should be able to see ships coming to that waters and carrying, oil.
Well, definitely. You see, what a lot of the ships do, especially the big ships, they take advantage of what we call innocent passage under the United Nations law of the sea. So you could see them, and you see a lot of them. They could be going somewhere else or pretending to be going somewhere else. But however, they'll be hanging around the Nigerian exclusive economic zone, waiting to be supplied by smaller ships that can penetrate the creeks of Nigeria or even go into wellheads like we discovered and keep sucking up little bits and supplying them in the middle of the ocean till they get the amount of quantity they want. This could take days, it could take weeks, because it's not done just by them. It is done in internal collusion. So they would have to get, crude oil when the lines are active. And when the lines are not active, they may end up maybe doing a little bit of stripping here and there. So that could help them be around or encourage them to be around. Now, the international side is so big because, as you know, Nigeria has got the cleanest oil in the world, the sweetest ever. Any refinery you pump a Nigerian oil to has got very, very low maintenance, so they will keep coming. So we got a lot of job to do. Now, on the local side, what you have is that quite a fair bit of the oil is also stolen, but this time they use smaller boats to take them to locations where they load them onto trucks. Some are refined into products, some raw crude, because what the local side does is that they don't want to cook this oil or refine this oil near or close to their sources of obtaining them, so near the pipeline. So they sometimes truck the illegal oil to remote areas where you will never expect, you will have the least expectation that anything illegal is going to happen. But having said that also, there are people who hide under the cover of having an approval to lift crude oil, and then they piggyback the legal crude oil with the illegal one. So it's quite a sophisticated crime, if you ask me.
Okay, now I think you've made mention of the quantity now in terms of revenue. Can you speak to us in terms of degradation, environmental degradation, and risk associated in terms of fire?
The environmental degradation is immeasurable. If you go to some areas, you'll find square nautical miles that have completely been decimated. You know, I don't even think in my own righteous thinking that some areas you will even be able to revamp for 100 years to come. Maybe they will just literally become crude oil reserves after 100 years or something. It is so massive. You find aquatic life gone, trees gone, creatures that are pertinent to those particular habitats are completely gone. In fact, there was a particular boat trip we took, and you could see fish even floating from the pollution. They cannot handle anymore. You see some animals floating, because there is just really nothing to eat that is not poisonous in the area. And it is also so bad that a lot of people may not know it, but the amount of carcinogens in the area has massively reduced the life expectancy of even the humans living in such places.
Wow. Now, the success in curbing oil theft has to do with high-level intelligence gathering. Is that the story of Tantita Security Services?
Well, it is not only the story of, or that makes up the success today. I'd like to seize this opportunity to say to the world, and indeed the Nigerian people, that this whole crime is so internationally galvanized that we did praise the Nigerian military for doing so much. It has not been very easy for them, especially when you are coming from a bureaucratic background where things have to take certain approvals before you do. We really estimate that, look, our forces that have been fighting this before we came in, they did a very, very good job. We have to praise the Nigerian General Security Forces. They did their job. And we must also thank this president, because this is the first time in Nigeria's history that a government has taken this head on. And the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, in its reformed state, has been the galvanic factor that has brought all these successes together. We had the intelligence before now. We never had the platform to be able to share, exercise, and execute what we had. So we had never given up. We had been looking around the region and maintaining data of what's been going on. And that is why you see this whole thing looks easy for now, but it is not really easy, and it would not have been a success story if not for the fact that the Nigerian government is serious. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is very, very serious about it, and our forces are also there to back us up. So it's everything is just happening at the right time. If not for all of this, I can guarantee you this mission would have been a successful failure.
Okay, you talked about success story. Tell us about your breakthroughs.
Well, we had quite a fair bit. I forgot to mention in my success story, or our success story, that Tantita would not have also been able to make it if not for the high level of expertise they put together, both local and international, if I may say so. And then the communities have been a very, very good source of local intelligence, and to some extent, even international intelligence, because somehow, somewhere, as I said, the local side of this crime is married to the international side of the crime. So we got quite a fair bit of information. In fact, sometimes overload of information that comes in about ships approaching the coast to come and do harm to our economy. So we have to praise them. They did very, very well.
Thank you very much, Captain Waridi Eniso, Maritime Intelligence Aviation Expert. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you so much.
Let's join in Nekalko for Global Market Update.
World stock markets were down for a second day running this Friday as a near $1 trillion weekly wipeout in top technology stocks outweighed hopes of a slowdown in Federal Reserve and European Central Bank rate rises. Hong Kong stocks plunged to their lowest levels since April 2009, leading losses in the Asia Pacific as the Bank of Japan left its benchmark interest rate unchanged. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong closed 3.66% lower at 14,863.06 after losing more than 4% earlier in the session. The Shanghai Composite was 2.25% lower at 2,915.93, while the Nikkei 225 in Japan fell 0.83%. In the US, stock index futures tumbled as gloomy forecasts from mega caps Amazon and Apple heightened fears that the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hikes were finally slowing the economy. Futures tied to the Nasdaq 100 slid 1.2%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was lower by 0.36% and S&P 500 lost 0.83%. European markets also declined. The DAX lost 0.98%, the FTSE fell 0.69%, and the French CAC dipped 0.48%. It was mixed trading for African markets this Friday as investors around the continent reassessed the outlook for inflation and economic growth. JSE Africa 40 gained 0.81%. Tunisia's Stone Index and Ghana's GSE Composite rose marginally, while Nairobi's All-Share fell 0.3%.
Thank you, Neka. That wraps Business Express for the week. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send it your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. I am Musa Walker. Have a pleasant weekend.